It's wonderful to have all of you here this evening to share in the 26th annual John Fisher Zeidman Memorial Lecture. It was initiated in the early 1980s. The Stewart Friends Chinese Studies program has provided the school with an enhanced global perspective for over a quarter of a century now, long before most of this nation's secondary schools began to focus on that venue of study. As a community, I believe because of the Zeidman Lecture Series and the Chinese Studies program that we have a vital and continuously expanding view of one of the world's major cultural, economic, and political forces. Today, the People's Republic of China does indeed play a central role in the international community. Stewart Friends School is remarkably fortunate to be able to expose both its students and its teachers to this fascinating culture and language. Through the study of Chinese language and history, through travel and exchange programs, and by such unique educational opportunities as the John Fisher Zeidman Memorial Lecture. As a student at Stewart Friends School, John Zeidman was an enthusiastic and always curious young man who actively sought new experiences. After graduating from SFS in 1979 and during his time as a Duke University undergraduate, John's intellectual focus crystallized into a determination to learn all that he could of the Chinese language and culture. His first trip to China in the summer of 1979 left an indelible impression and inspired his decision to return for a full year of study in 1981. As many of you know, John fell ill in China and ultimately had to be medevaced home to Washington, D.C. Very sadly, he passed away at the age of 20 in January of 1982. John's love of China and his time there inspired his parents, Nancy and Philip, as well as his sisters, Betsy and Jennifer, also SFS alums, to create a living memorial to John by establishing an endowed Chinese Studies program here at Friends. Their goal was to provide interested students with an opportunity for exposure to Chinese language and history during the course of their secondary education. Today, the Chinese Studies program at Stewart Friends School is one of the most remarkable pre-collegiate educational initiatives of its kind in the United States. Many Zeidman scholars have taken their studies of China far beyond this community. More than a few have received PhDs in Chinese history and in other areas of Asian scholarship. Further, many have been involved with related travel and study programs, and others have become connected with Chinese business, government, and NGOs. It was fun, just as an aside, to meet 2 or 3 parents this evening of past graduates of the Zeidman program whose children are now at work in China as consultants to American corporations. One of the most important benefits of the Zeidman program has been the establishment of a strong basic friendship with our sister schools in China, one in Beijing, one in Shanghai, and now one in Hangzhou. This year, Friends is pleased to welcome its 2007-2008 Chinese scholars, Junior Mansi Cao and Tay Inui Fu, and I wish they would rise if they're here this evening so we could recognize both of them. Stewart Friends School alumni are named Zeidman Fellows and are invited to enroll as visiting students at Beijing Normal University, the school where John was studying when he contracted his tragic illness. This year they are Doug Proctor, class of 2007, and Julius Taranto, also class of 2007. And my understanding is that both of them are having exceptional experience and are looking forward to continuing their year of study there in ways that I think will be transformative for each of them. The program offers young people the opportunity to live and to travel abroad and to master the language and history and culture of other countries. It is the core mission of this school to celebrate that kind of initiative. Sidwell Friends is deeply grateful to Nancy, Philip, Betsy, and Jennifer for their thoughtfulness and generosity in creating this powerful living memorial to a beloved son and brother. A memorial that continues to impact students even a generation after John Zeidman himself was so inspired by his own experiences in China. It is, in my judgment, by any measure, an extraordinary legacy, and we thank you so very much for that. It's my pleasure to introduce to you John Flower, Director of Chinese Studies and Upper School Teacher of Chinese History. If you would, please join me in welcoming John to the podium.
Thank you, Bruce. Good evening, friends. It's an honor to participate in this, my first Zeidman lecture, and an honor to join this wonderful school and its truly remarkable Chinese Studies program. I'm grateful to all of you here at Sidwell, particularly to the Zeidman family, for making me feel welcome in this community. It was John Zeidman's story, the story of how the Sidwell Chinese Studies program began, that inspired me to come here. Because that story shows just how effective people-to-people exchanges can be in fostering mutual understanding and friendship. The program's educational opportunities and cultural exchanges that Bruce just mentioned are making a real contribution to making the world a better place. I deeply respect that tradition, and I will do my best to ensure that Chinese studies at Sidwell continues to grow in the spirit of John Zeidman's idealism and his desire to understand and to engage the Chinese people. To that end, over the next year, we'll be starting 2 new initiatives in the program. The first is a Chinese summer language program that we'll be holding in Shanghai and Hangzhou this summer, which we're very excited about. The second is next year, the beginning of a Chinese Studies capstone seminar, which will teach Chinese culture and history in the Chinese language. These are ways that I'm hoping we can continue to ensure that Chinese studies at Sidwell reaches the highest levels of excellence. Our speaker tonight has made significant contributions to that crucial mission of understanding and engaging China and its people. Rob Gifford was Beijing correspondent for NPR from 1999 to 2005. He is now the London bureau chief for NPR, but he's continued to work in and on China. You may have heard his week-long series of reports on the Yellow River in December of 2007. His critically acclaimed book, China Road, A Journey into the Future of a Rising Power, was published by Random House last year, and it will be coming out in paperback in May. The book is based on 2 extended road trips through China on Route 312 in 2004 and 2005. And it really epitomizes the kind of grassroots human storytelling for which Rob is known and admired. He also has a chapter in a brand new edited volume entitled Beijing, Portrait of a City. And Rob is in fact just back from an amazing tour in China, which took him from London to Hong Kong, Beijing, Chengdu, Suzhou, Shanghai, now Washington, and back to London tomorrow. Wow. I'm very pleased he could be with us here at Sidwell Friends, and please join me in welcoming Rob Gifford.